I thought, no, I thought you'd never ask. Uh, I should say, I think as Christopher Hitchens once said, this is the first time in about 6 months that I'm in a room full of people who actually agree with me. Why don't we do this more often? I was saying, on the first morning of the Freshers' Fair, a rather grey LSE bureaucrat came up to me, inquired very solemnly, he says, "Why are you making fun of the Prophet Muhammad?" And I said, "Well, sir, someone has to." And the effrontery of this reply didn't go down very well at headquarters, but I think I meant what I said. The freedom to laugh at religion is, in my view, the fundamental freedom. It's fundamental free inquiry on the subject of religion, because it floods the supposedly arcane and mysterious inner workings of religion with sunlight. And perforce, it compels us to take the issue of religion less seriously, and thereby to contemplate its separation from the affairs of the state. And that, I think, is the beginning of secularism, and therefore it's very important. Now, the objective of this little digression was to remind you to not let this particularly important freedom slide into disuse and neglect, and in fact to be bawdy, strident, and impertinent while you're at it, because it is important. You have nothing to be ashamed of when exercising this freedom. The Jesus and No affair reminds us that those who would wish to deny us this freedom do not sleep, and therefore neither should we. It's also so that make full use of this freedom while you can. Do it for our comrades in the 55 countries, I think it is, where it's still a crime. Do it to defy every moon-faced community leader or Jurassic cleric who has sought to deny you this freedom in the name of respect and multicultural etiquette. If nothing else, do it just to make sure that you can, because don't underestimate the importance of that. And if with Islam this seems too dangerous, remember that most of us in this room, with some very notable exceptions, haven't done anything to earn this freedom. We just inherited it from those great men and women before us who've suffered terrible privation, paid very dearly for it. And we owe it to them. Therefore, it's not ours to give away, is what I mean. And therefore, we owe it to them to keep it safe and to bequeath it to our successors, intact if not enhanced. And we also owe a duty of support to their contemporary heirs among us, those courageous ex-Muslims and secularist Muslims among us, people like Tahmina Kazi here, who are undertaking this thankless task for us from within the community. And they face far greater risks than any of us could ever dream of while they're doing this. So a little danger is a very reasonable price to pay for such illustrious company. And therefore we should... Here endeth the lesson. Just some acknowledgements beyond this. We're looking at some of my inbox for the last 6 months or so. I realized we've made all the right enemies, and that's immensely satisfying. But looking around this room today and meeting some of the wonderful people I've gotten to know over the last year, we've also made all the right friends. So we should just, in closing, I'll acknowledge a couple of them. Firstly, thank you to the artillery division of our campaign, Keith Porteous-Wood and Stephen Evans of the NSS.
Thanks. Lovely, thank you.
For this very handsome gesture, firstly, it looks quite nice, the bottle does, so thank you very much. And for their advice, support, and reassurance at civilized and ungodly hours. We're also immensely grateful to the so far unnamed lawyer, the brilliant David Wolf QC, who represented us pro bono in this case. I tell everyone who cares to listen that the LSE relented not out of the goodness of its heart or because of our great moral persuasion or even because of concern for its own reputation. Because if anything, the LSE seems to take a rather kamikaze attitude to its own reputation. But it was because David left them no choice through the caliber of our legal representations, and without him, we wouldn't have won this one. And finally, a toast to the Reverend Charlie Clengen of the Lawyers Secular Society, probably our most loyal and tireless ally. Charlie stood by us, supported us in private and in the print and electronic media with a very refreshing and principled defense, without exception or disclaimer, of our rights. And I should say that when it would have been so much safer for him and so much more convenient to excuse himself and remember other appointments. So thank you very much to Charlie. And lastly, a word of gratitude to my parents here who spent a fantastic sum of money to send me to university in England on the express or in the forlorn hope that I would devote myself entirely to academics and avoid any kind of distraction. You are all gathered here this afternoon to witness the culmination of my efforts to this end. And finally, if I haven't yet convinced you of the merits of free expression, you could do worse than heed the advice of one of my email correspondents over the last few months, a frightfully earnest evangelical who insists that Jesus gave us free speech. For my sake, if not for his sake, if not for mine, please make full use of it while you can. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want to say brief words of my own. And first of all, you probably realized it by now that the mastermind behind our statements and is actually Abhishek, who, when I normally do the first draft and then Abhishek turns them into actual powerful and beautiful and even witty English. So thank you for that. So we have thanked, of course, the most important people in this room, and that's mainly as with Keith already. What I would like, who I haven't thanked enough yet, that is first of all my partner in crime, and that is Abhishek. Abhishek joined the society in 2012, and ever since that his companionship, his conviction, and his courage has been a tremendous resource for all of us and everything we've been doing, and without him that wouldn't have been possible at all. Second, my partner in life, what I would like to mention here, who has always encouraged me and supported me during these difficult times. And I'm one of these very fortunate persons who actually has a partner who shares their own passions, and that is mainly secularism. And if there was a God, I'd like to thank him for that. So, of course, there are other people to thank, like my mother who brought to me, my Catholic mother who brought to me the concept of secularism, my very devoted Christian father who discovered atheism at the age of 80, 3 years before he passed away, and gave me this book, The God Delusion. And this is essentially why I'm here, and this is why I think this is someone I'd like to thank personally. In the end, I just have a plea very quickly. And Keith has already talked about education and universities and the importance. I'd just like to reinforce this point. Universities are a place where we, in the future, we can look at universities nowadays and we can have a good idea of what our society will be looking at in the next 20 years. We still, in British universities, are a hotbed for extremist preachers who come there, who preach homophobia, who preach misogyny, who preach intolerance, who preach even violence on campuses on a daily basis. Gender segregation is an occurrence that is very, very regular and still mainly unchurched and even institutionalized by universities. And all of these things together make for a very, very dangerous combination, I think, for our society in the future and for secularism in general. So please, thank you for your great work. Please keep it up. All of you who are in this room, please continue to support us and the students who actually challenge these people who stand up for free expression, for gender equality, and for secularism. Thank you.